Risotti.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Agenda with Crystal Risotti. I'm the host, Crystal, and I'm glad to welcome you here for the show. We're going to have a really good one today. It's about the presidential candidates. We're getting close to the election season. It's time to start talking about stuff. So we're going to get right to it. I know that you've been watching the episodes, you've been following, you've been liking, you've been commenting, you've been following on Rumble, anywhere you get your audio podcasts, YouTube, wherever you go. I know you've already been doing all this, but if you haven't, man, get it with the program. Please, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on revolverbroadcasting.com and on our platforms. So please, please, please go and subscribe if you haven't already and follow. And be sure to share, because sharing is caring. Cracks me up every time, Josh. I got Josh, the producer, back here with me. Thank you for doing this. Josh is going to turn the cameras around at some point, and he's going to show his face. He's going to show you what he looks like. He's going to talk throughout because it's more fun with two than one. I kind of get tired of listening to myself sometimes. Anyways, also, go to revolverbroadcasting.com if you haven't and check out the webpage that we have. There's a contact form if you want to reach out to us. You don't feel comfortable commenting on a public site, you can actually email us, and we will be checking that queue and getting back to you. We have different options across the top, and I will let you know. You can go and search for your podcast, your favorite podcast. We have a bunch of them out there. Something for everybody. So go check them out. And then we got the shop, and you're going to want to hit the shop because we have some really cool merch. For every show, President Trump kind of merch. We have a weird shirt that just got released recently. We have Revolver Broadcasting merch. We have the Agenda with Crystal Risotti merch. And not just shirts, but we have coffee mugs, and we have a necklace and all kinds of stuff. So go check it out and help us out because we could use your help. We want to keep growing this platform because our platform tells the truth, and we're trying to get the truth out there, and we just want to make sure everybody's educated and can make informed decisions and entertain you sometimes too, because the Reacts podcasts or the React shorts are really fun. So make sure you're checking it all out. All right, so let's get started. With the election coming up, again, I just want to make sure we're covering different topics related to the election. In the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about various different things related to the candidates and what's going on in the election space. If you have not been involved in politics, you're going to want to watch. And if you have been involved in politics, you're going to want to watch. Because we believe in bringing the receipts and using non-biased sources. Most of the time, we don't have to use biased sources because they tell you what they want to do, and it's easy to figure that out if you know where to look. And that's what we want to do for you. We'll do the work for you. So join us on the upcoming episodes and different shows that we're offering during the election season, because it's going to be a really good opportunity to get information overload. Be an educated voter. Don't be a low information voter. That's what they're counting on. Don't listen to the propaganda. Look for alternative sources like Revolver Broadcasting and let us help you. We want you to make educated decisions. We want to eliminate the propaganda and, like I said, bring the receipts. I'm going to start off because there's actually content. Did I say that out loud, Josh? There's actually content on President Donald J. Trump's campaign website. So let's start there. Josh is going to pull it up for us. We're just going to go through it. What do these people stand for? We're going to look at Kamala tonight and President Donald Trump. I'm still saying president, former if you didn't care for him, but, you know.
I say sitting.
We'll go with that, yeah. And vice president, to be exact, Kamala Harris, although I would argue she's the president right now. That's beside the point. So let's look at what Donald Trump plans to do. What is his plan? If you go to this website, you'll find the link below. Let's just start going through it. He has 20 of them listed here. The first one is seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Can I get an amen to that?
Amen.
We are not against immigration. I'm going to make that very clear. We are against illegal immigration and non-vetted people coming across the border and flooding our country. That's what we're against. I have a lot of friends who have come here and become naturalized citizens. I have a lot of friends who are here on H-1B visas. So I love these people and I'm grateful for them. I don't have anything bad to say about them, all right? But if you compare the work they have to go through and the money they have to spend to go through these processes legally, and then go back and look what the illegals get for free and don't even have to pay anything, they're actually given things, then come back and tell me how fair it is. Do that. Go look it up. It's ridiculous. According to Statista.com, 11 million illegals right now are in this country. Illegals. Not legals, illegals. Think about that, because it only took 19 to do the damage on 9/11. And we have 11 million illegals in this country. And last time I checked, that was about the third of the population of 36 states or something like that. It's equal to the population of like 36 right. States.
Yep.
Yeah. That's how many illegals we have. I am hearing stories, and this is funny to me, that people in, I believe it was California, were throwing a fit because they were building shelters for the illegals in their neighborhoods, which were poorer neighborhoods. And they were throwing a fit because they wanted to know why they weren't building them in the rich neighborhoods. Why do you think? I mean, some of this stuff is common sense to me. You can't get mad over it. You supported it. Now you're going to get mad about it because it's in your backyard. Well, you should have thought about that long before now. So, we don't know who these people are. I'm sure there are some that are really good and they're just trying to get here. And my goodness, they were invited. The red carpet was rolled out for them. Why would they not try to come? But here's the thing. There's also very nefarious ones. Okay. Gang members, like Trump said, there are hundreds of kids that are getting raped on the border. Come in here. Is that okay? That's not okay. And I'm going to ask you a question. Let 20 people you don't know in your living room right now. And then tell me how you can tell which ones are good and bad. Do you know? You don't have a clue. If you let 20 strangers in your living room, you can't pick out who's good and who's not. You don't know until you know. And that's what's happening in this country. We've let all these strangers into the country. We have no idea who's a good one and who's a bad one. We don't know how to find them. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But how are you going to know? You don't. That's the problem. Let's look at number 2. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. So I believe this is imperative. We have to do this. We have to deport illegals. We have to start doing that massively. But how are you going to know where they are or who they are? Illegals by nature are criminals. They don't follow the law. We already talked about 11 million of them are in this country right now. Kamala, however you want to say it, has been on record saying that she wants them all to have free healthcare, free education, pretty much free housing, everything.
Guess who's paying for that?
Yeah, we are. Thanks. Exactly. She's on record saying she wants them all to have this. If you're giving them housing or education or whatever, you're going to have a record. But guess what? A lot of them aren't doing that. And then you have NGOs, national government organizations, that are involved in this whole process, and that's tied back to the United Nations. We talked about that early on in the podcast, all the UN connections and Agenda 2030 and all of that. This is, rest assured, part of that initiative. If you haven't watched those shows, you need to go back and watch them, because you're going to get educated on a whole lot from that. But these NGOs, national government organizations, are in place. Red Cross is one of them. Doctors Without Borders is one of them. And their whole initiative, they're paid by the government to move these people around. Okay? On top of that, they're coming in the border. They're hopping on a city bus, or the government's paying for their plane rides to other places in the country to disperse them. Okay? Get them out in the country. Not in one locale, but all over the country. So how are you going to find them to deport them? That's a good question. I submit to you that we're going to go through all these, and at the end, my question is, these are great things to say you're going to do, but I'm more interested in the how. I've said it before. You never really have to worry about the what so much. It's obvious, right? If somebody tells you what they want to do, you know right away if it's good or bad. But even if it sounds good, with politicians, you got to dive deeper and say, how do they want to do it? There's always a trick involved somewhere in the how. The what sounds great, sounds virtuous, sounds kind, sounds thoughtful. It's the how you have to worry about. So again, I don't know how they would plan to round all these people up to deport them. I mean, he did it before, but not to this volume. So I'm praying there's a way. They'll find a way. So, but look at this slide we're going to put up. This is illegal migrant gotaways. And in fiscal year 2010, we had 155,599. It went down in 2011 to 86,000, give or take. Back up in 2012. It's hovered around, I'd say, 80 to 160,000 until you get to 2021. And then we let in 387,398 that got away. In 2022, it jumped to 606,131. And in 2023, 670,674. There have been, since the start of 2024, the financial year in October starts, there have been over 175,000 getaways and 1.3 million migrants apprehended by Customs and Border Patrol. Think about that total of all those years combined. What do you come up with? Millions, right? And here's the funny thing. Biden recently announced a plan. This is so funny. Where he sought bipartisan support to address the border crisis. But listen to his plan. They were going to let through 4,000 migrants per day and then shut down the border. So that's still allowing 1,460,000 per year into the country. See how they make it sound good? We have a new bipartisan bill to address the border. And then you look at the bill, and they're still going to let 4,000 in a day. And you do the math, and it's over 1 million and almost 1.5 million a year.
I wrote the bill.
Did you guys hear Josh whispering? Because Biden likes to whisper. He did say that. That's so funny. But yeah, I mean, it makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. And it's deceitful, very deceitful. They're counting, I'm telling you, on low information voters, people who don't do the research for themselves, people who don't critically think or know how to think, people who just listen to what they're told and parrot that. They're counting on you being that. Are you going to be that? I don't want you to be that. I want you to be a high information voter. I want you to see both sides, make an educated decision. I personally lean towards the right because I'm conservative. But I'm not asking you to. I still want you to do your own education and your own research, because I guarantee you there's a good chance that if you do, you won't like what the left is trying to do. They have become the extremist party. The things they're trying to do to this country and trying to do to our citizenry, trying to do to our laws, trying to do to our branches of government, the things they're trying to do are so extreme. And I think that's why Kamala didn't have the votes that she needed the last time around, and she dropped out because she didn't have the votes at all. Now they've just installed her.
3.8% of the Democrat vote.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so low, isn't it?
Yeah, she had to drop out in 2019.
Mm-hmm. But now the media is praising her like she's the best thing since sliced bread. And that flipped like that. If you're paying attention, you saw it flip like that. Overnight.
Yeah, and all our voters turned into those aliens from Toy Story.
That's true. Now I've got that visual, Josh.
Kamala,
Thanks.
she comes.
The claw. Kamala the claw. We got a new thing for her.
The clueless Kamala, she comes.
So what happened? I mean, why did it flip overnight? I'm going to go back to the name of the show is The Agenda with Crystal Risotti. And the reason I named it that is because there's always an agenda behind everything. Actually, it was Josh's suggestion and I loved it. So I said, yes, that fits everything. Okay, so back to Trump. Number 3, end inflation and make America affordable again. Gotta love that. Who couldn't get on board with that? So let's go to slide 2. Take a look at this. This is the Consumer Price Index for inflation. Doesn't look like it's trending very well, does it? And the dates are from 2017 to 2023.
That is not that long of time.
No. But who was president in 2017?
I believe I was.
Look at the lower end of the trending for the inflation and think about who was president at that time. And we had a pandemic going on. We had an excuse, right? The economy had an excuse to not be doing well and inflation to rise.
You had a super V. We had a super V.
Yeah. But ironically, it didn't really start rising until this administration. Yeah.
Weird.
Very weird. Okay, let's look at his number 4 goal. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far, he says. And he can do that. He's done it before. I'm not worried about the how there. He's proven that. And then we got this administration that comes in and gets rid of the Keystone Pipeline right out of the gate, which I find it so funny that people argue what was a pipeline in Canada going to do for us? Well, I don't know. It was supposed to come down through here, and we would have a lot of jobs dedicated to that, not to mention access to the oil that would be flowing through the pipeline. We would have an excess of that, lowering the prices. It's supply and demand.
Yeah, it was good for us and Canada.
It was a good partnership, but, we got to kill anything good for the country because can't have that. It would have affected the gas pricing, the oil pricing, but instead, this administration wiped out all our oil reserves too. Completely wiped them out almost, and those reserves are supposed to only be used in a time of war. But he was doing that to artificially bring down the price of gas. Now, let's say we go to war. We can't run the military vehicles without gas. Even if it's diesel, we can't run them. They'll be dead in the water.
They're making them EVs now. They'll get real far on those.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they could put a solar panel on top, and if you're in the desert, it would just keep going like the Energizer Bunny. I don't know. We'll see.
Recharge time has got to be god-awful.
I don't know. I mean, at least Trump can get us back on track with the energy production. And I know so many people, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia, so many people in those coal mines that were displaced in jobs because of the policies that they had. Let's just say for a minute, I'm going to put my business hat on. Let's just say for a minute, you're all on board for all this, this clean energy initiative. Who in their right mind has a hard stop and a hard start in business? You never do that. You have a transition period. It doesn't make sense to do a hard stop and a hard start because you have a lot of activities that have to go on in the meantime during that phase. You got to get people trained. You got to get projects up to speed. You have to have all the tasks listed out and things going at the same time. You can't just flip a switch. So that's just ignorant to me. that they were trying to shut down our current fossil fuel sources and energy sources and push us into these alternative fuel sources. And don't get me started on the windmills. I just saw one the other day that actually blew over because of the wind. And these suckers are huge. If you've not seen the really big ones, they're huge. And it damaged so much property when it fell over. It couldn't withstand the wind. Blades are flying off of these windmills and crashing into things and killing animals and everything else. What are you going to say, Josh?
I was going to say killing birds.
Yeah.
Messing up their migration patterns.
Yep.
That's what
And the whales. I saw that too.
Yep. That's why we got to drill, baby, drill.
Yes, we do. Got to get it done. So again, it's just ignorance on the part of, now a businessman would have known that. I'm just saying. But somebody who's been a politician their entire career and never worked in a business at a level of leadership would not know that. And this is why we have the situation we have now. Just saying. Okay, let's go to slide 3. This slide is the oil price from 2010 to 2024 in the U.S. It's dollars per barrel. You can find this on Statista.com. But this is the annual average OPEC crude oil price. And you see the trend here. So look around, 2018, 2020. And then look at the jump in 2022. And it's leveled out a little bit in 2024, but it's still way higher than what it was in 2018, 2020. It's almost peaked at the highest level it was in 2012 and 2014. So again, you look at these and you have to look at who was in charge at the time. And I'm really sick and tired of people saying, oh, Biden has nothing to do with the inflation rates. Biden has nothing to do with the price of oil. Yes, he does. He may not directly have any say-so in it, but the things that he does and the things that he says influence those people who are in charge of those, just like it influences the freaking stock market. I've always said the stock market is so volatile, a CEO could take a pee and it drops. I mean, it's emotional. It's based on emotions. Well, guess what? So's the oil industry. It's also somewhat based, when they're assigning the value to it, on emotions. And the leader of the free world, and I say that loosely, I'm doing air quotes for those who are listening on audio, has a big influence on those relationships, on the perception, on the agreements that are in place, all of that. So yes, he does have an influence over it. Absolutely. Okay. So my thing is, we need Trump back in office in order to fix all this garbage. Start to say something else. Okay. So number 6 on the list. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. I love that. I love that statement. And then we're going to talk about large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Got some good stuff for you here. Listen to this video. First of all, showing the copycat method in play. So on the left, we have Trump on June 9th, 2024 in Las Vegas. On the right, we have Kamala, August 10th, 2024 in Las Vegas. So both of them are speaking in Las Vegas. It's 2 months apart, and listen to what they have to say.
Because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call the copycat method. And yes, I'm saying that in a country accent because I have one. Okay, so that to me is just blatantly in your face what's going on. She's copying him. 2 months apart, same place. Why did she choose to do that? Did she even know he did that? I don't know, but I'm sure her people did. I think it's pandering. I just think it's pandering. And obviously Trump had a good point there because they decided to copy him. Now let's watch another video where they also decided to copy him. This is at a rally.
So yes, this November we're going to make America great again.
I just want to smile at that. I want to know how. Again, I'm asking how. It's never the what, it's always the how that gets you. I want to know how they propose to do that. Why are they just copying the verbiage that Trump has already had in his campaign? The question to ask them to get that nailed down is, how are you going to do it? Because I guarantee they won't have an answer. They're copying him. They'll wait till he has an answer, and then they'll copy it. All right, number 7, defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. All right, so big difference there. The left is always attacking gun-toting people like us. They're always attacking people who want to protect themselves, who want to defend themselves. Not offend, but defend. There's a difference. They're always blaming the guns for crimes. And guns can't fire themselves. So there's that. The one that's running as a candidate is the one who keeps letting criminals out on bail. Wants bail reform. Wants criminals out on the streets. Keeps releasing them. Fought for a fund to bail out the Summer of Love criminals, particularly in Minnesota, where her now VP is from. Where he let the city burn down and then she jumped in to bail him out. Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the country, and yet there have been more people killed in one day in Chicago than there were in Afghanistan during the war. Think about that. Strictest gun laws, but yet there's a whole lot of murders going on in Chicago. So you have to think about who you're going to vote for in these terms. Trump's the one that wants to defend our Constitution. He wants to defend our Bill of Rights. He wants to defend our fundamental freedoms, our freedom of speech, religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. The left is going after the Supreme Court. They want to basically tear that apart because they don't agree with the decisions that were made. Now, I personally am grateful for the 3 branches because it's a balance of power. That's the intent of it. One of the branches doesn't have all the power to do everything. They have to get the agreement of the other 2. So, you want to destroy our Supreme Court, you're going to blow up our whole government structure. They're also the ones who weaponized the 3-letter agencies against people that are in opposition to them. They're the ones who burned down churches, let people burn down churches and bailed them out, let them back out on the street. They're the ones that restricted people from going to church and exercising their freedom of religion during the pandemic. And so much more.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, please.
So, I'm actually going to flip this around for me because I just want to say something when they were burning stuff down. So during the summer of love and everything, I was actually working downtown Indianapolis, and the buildings I was in between the two because we had moved during that time. I witnessed from the 5th floor of one building and then later on the 4th floor of another building. I mean, just a half a block away, where buildings were being burnt and looted and almost blown up. I watched and I had to wait, and I because I was working nights, so I was actually looking out. And I called my boss and was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna wait. So like I don't know if you want to pay me OT, but I'm gonna stick around and just keep working up here because I know I'm safe on the 5th floor."
Right.
But if they come into my building, I'm gonna have to do something, So just letting them know. So I ended up taking a couple days there where I didn't go in because it was just too bad to go downtown Indianapolis.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it? Josh, I bet you were watching all this happen and just your heart dropped.
Yeah.
I find that to be also kind of a trend in the fact that people who lean more right are more sensitive to that kind of thing and more proud of the country and more hurt by the things that are going on. And the people on the left just seem like angry people. More and more and more, they just seem angry. Again, macro level, not micro level. There's always going to be exceptions. I'm not trying to say everybody on the left is angry and, evil. I just think from an observational standpoint, and I have no problem telling you all I'm an independent, but I do lean right. I am a conservative. So I never vote left. I've voted libertarian a couple times, never vote left. Because I just don't agree with their policies. And what I see is, again, the virtue signaling. It sounds really good. They make you think they care about the common man while they're stealing money from behind your back in taxes. I mean, it just makes me sick. It's like there's no
Accountability?
No accountability, but no sympathy for people.
Yeah.
None. It's fake. It's fake and propaganda. It makes me sad. Okay.
While they put policies in place that make you less safe.
Exactly. Number 8, prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. I absolutely love this. If you question if Trump can do this, let me remind you of some things. Number 1, his administration got the Abraham Accords in place. So there was actually agreement between Israel and Arab countries to keep peace. This administration comes in and blows it up. All right. We had an agreement with Iran to keep them from being aggressive towards other countries, attacking other countries, and they were abiding by it. This administration gets in and blows it up. There was no war between Russia and Ukraine in the last administration. This administration gets in and not only blows it up, but profits off of it, and also supports the most corrupt government in Ukraine that you could possibly imagine. Don't believe me? Do the research. As far as the Israel versus Gaza, I'm not calling it Palestine. I'm going to tell people stop calling it Palestine or Palestinian people. There is no country of Palestine. It's Gaza and Hamas, a terrorist organization. So keep it straight because don't play into their games. Anyways, the Israel versus Gaza conflict. That would not have happened under the last administration. This administration comes in and they're not afraid. They just go all out. The last administration all but abolished terrorist organizations. Think about it. There was ISIS. When Trump took office, we had so many terrorist threats going on in the world. ISIS, Hezbollah, Hamas, Al-Qaeda, all of these things were going on, and you saw it diminish and almost be wiped out completely under Trump. And now it's all blowing up again. They're emboldened. What kind of leader do you want? Do you want somebody who's passive and, tries to buddy up to Charles Manson, the murderer, and tries to talk to him and be diplomatic with him? He's a psychopath. There are some people you can't argue with, you can't discuss things with. They're psychopaths. And this administration is doing just that. They're just trying to talk to them. They're emboldening them. They're encouraging them. They're allowing it. They're promoting it in some cases. Just look at all the money we're sending to Ukraine. If you didn't want Ukraine and Russia to be at war, you would stop sending money to either one of them and just cut it all off and back out of it. But they're not, which tells me they want the war. So think about it. And as far as the Iron Dome over our country, how amazing would that be? I know Josh would love it. America. Okay, number 9. I need to move faster. There's 20 of these. End the weaponization of government against the American people. There are so many stories I could talk about on that. January 6th is one. A woman's in jail right now for praying outside an abortion clinic. There's 85,000 IRS agents that were hired under Biden. And for what exactly? The FBI, the DOJ, the DHS, the corruption in all of those. The Tea Party clubs back in the day were targeted by the IRS. This is nothing new. That happened under Obama. We're just seeing more of the same, and it's escalating as time goes by. So Trump has promised to stop all that. Number 10, stop the migrant crime epidemic. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. Crush gang violence and lock up violent offenders. We already talked about this a little bit. I'm all for that. Number 11, rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Haven't been downtown much in Indianapolis. We did have riots here to see if the damage has all been fixed. But I can tell you since then, the reason I haven't been downtown in Indianapolis since the riots happened is because there's still a lot of shootings going on downtown. The canal, which was a beautiful place to take walks. We used to go there all the time, take our dog for a walk. We'd ride bikes. There have been shootings on the canal now. It's just does not feel safe anymore. When you have prosecutors and district attorneys like the one running for Democrat president candidate, when you have people like that just make it a revolving door to let criminals come and go, that's what you have. And we didn't have that under the last administration. At least I didn't feel it here in Indianapolis. I feel it strongly now. We have a loop, a 465 loop around our city that goes all the way around. It's a highway. And I can't tell you in the past, I'd say year, how many random shootings have occurred on the highway while people are driving. That didn't happen before. But I'll tell you a little secret. The reason they're putting them through the revolver door and letting them go is because if they don't charge them, their crime rates look really low. It doesn't matter that they got arrested, it's who gets charged. And so that I believe that's a reason why they're not doing it. But even in, the fact that we had these riots going on and they tore down statues and they vandalized things, we just had the ones where they promoted it as freedom for Palestine and Palestinians. Again, there is no country of Palestine. It's Gaza. They're Arab people in Gaza and Hamas, terrorism. And we have this popping up all over the place here in the States with protests supporting that, tearing down statues again, vandalism like crazy. Then you've got California that You can steal up to $950 in shoplifting and not get prosecuted or arrested. Now, let me ask you a question. A gang comes in and they steal a bunch of stuff. How do you know how much they stole? How do you know if it came under $950 or not? You don't, do you? So I'm submitting to you, and I don't have anything to prove this, but just having the lawful mindset I have, I know for a fact police officers have said they've stopped going after people for certain things because they knew they wouldn't get prosecuted, because prosecutors have come out and said they wouldn't prosecute for this or prosecute for that. I'm going to submit to you that I bet you in California they're not prosecuting any shoplifting. Because, if you can look that up and let me know in the comments, do it. Because I could be wrong. But it's just a suspicion that the cops are not going to go after anybody for shoplifting because you'd have to prove it was over $950. How are you going to do that? It's not easy to do that. And it's really not worth their time because they could arrest somebody and technically it's $949 and then they arrested them for nothing. So I just bet they're not doing it at all. Number 12, strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. Enough said there. I'm not even going to talk about that because he did that before. Number 13, keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. I have a question about this one. I don't know how this could possibly happen. If you missed my episodes on BRICS, and what's going on with the BRICS initiative to de-dollarize the world trade. It's growing and growing and growing every single day in volume. And how the president could keep that U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency when Russia, Brazil, China, India, South Africa, all these different large companies and countries and more joining every day are trying to do the complete opposite. They don't want the dollar to be the standard anymore. Yes, Josh.
See, the way to accomplish that is actually to unincorporate the United States, because the United States, after the creation of the Federal Reserve, was incorporated, turned into a giant company for these bankers to come in and make the Federal Reserve so they could just print money as they quote unquote needed, right? Mm-hmm. But once they unincorporate the United States and they make it once again a true constitutional republic, because we're not actually right now, we're an incorporated country. Once it's given back to the constitutional republic and the states are truly given all their power back, then you can back the dollar with something like precious metals or gold, probably.
Like it used to be.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
So ending the Fed, like the libertarians have been talking about for a very long time, or the good ones anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I align more with libertarians than I do anything, but still a conservative, hardcore, so. But yeah, thanks. That makes sense. I was racking my brain trying to figure out how can our country continue to force the world to use our currency as the standard when there's so many that are against it now and they're using their own currency to trade in and allowing each other to do that. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Okay. Number 14, fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. The only thing I'm going to say about this is I'm sick and tired of hearing the Democrats saying the Republicans want to destroy Medicare and Medicaid. So tired of hearing. Republicans have never, ever said that. Never, ever said that. Go look it up. It is a propaganda tactic, and that's all it is. Number 15, cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. Okay, so a couple of things about this. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the past few months, every major car manufacturer has announced cutbacks in the EV market, and they're switching over to focusing on oil and gas-powered vehicles again because the market just isn't supporting it. People don't want them for various different reasons. One is the batteries. The production of the materials needed in the batteries comes from mines where children are doing labor. These people claim to care about the environment, but they're exploiting the cobalt mines, using children to do it, which is child labor. That's supposedly against the law, right? And that's just the production of these batteries. It's very costly to produce them. There's limited resources for it. But let's talk about the destruction. Nobody's talked about that very much yet. Some people have, but we're coming to the point where we're going to have to make a decision about it. The destruction of these, they can't destroy them per se. They're not biodegradable. They have to be put in a landfill. And then you've got leakage and seepage into the soil that comes from them, just like with regular batteries. You cannot just put regular batteries in a landfill, or at least you're not supposed to, because of the effects on the soil. It's the same with these EV batteries. Just saying. Also, we don't have an infrastructure set up for it. We still don't. They've had 4 years pushing it to get the infrastructure in place. It's better than it was, but it's not enough. We're still having blackouts and brownouts in our electrical grids. They haven't really beefed those up at all.
Had one today.
Yeah, you did. I've seen these charging stations going up here and there, but not en masse. And then the cost of putting the chargers in your home, there's some programs out there that I think you can get that'll help you out with that, and maybe some incentives from the government, but it's very expensive. But check this out. My sister lives in Florida, and I went to visit her a few weeks ago, and we got to talking about the electric vehicles. And in Florida, the salty air and salt water does not mix with those batteries. They have fires all the time of EV vehicles that catch on fire, and the fire departments won't even go fight them because they're too hot. They burn really extreme. They burn long term. And so that's like kind of a big problem down there. And then conversely, we live in the north where there's snow and cold weather. And I know our city had a bright idea to invest in all electric metro city buses and roll them out. And it was so funny to me, pitiful for the people that are on there, I'm not going to lie, but for me, sitting back watching it, knowing ahead of time it wasn't going to work, watching all these buses stranded on major roads and thoroughfares, and people couldn't get through. And they couldn't drive them, and they couldn't charge them. They just broke down. So the bright people in our Indianapolis government decided, oh, that was a mistake. So they basically trashed all those buses, which were brand new essentially, and bought hybrids, all new buses, because I guess they have to learn the hard way. It's just not even common sense anymore. I don't know what happened to people. I don't know. Okay, number 16, cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. Hoorah. I mean, I'm going to say that and I'm going to move on, because if you haven't watched my episodes on global education, on transgenderism, that stuff, you need to go back and watch those. This is just a big hoorah. Yes, please. And that, I don't have to wonder what that how is, because they're going to cut the funding, which should have been happening all along. And Florida is already doing that, by the way. Okay, number 17, keep men out of women's sports. This doesn't seem like we should even have to discuss this at this point. I don't understand the push for inclusion to where it's detrimental to women. You say you're fighting for women, whatever. First of all, I don't see that women don't have rights equal to men already. But now you're infiltrating into things where it's not rights. It's, things they work hard for. It's like careers for some of these people. It is ridiculous that we even have to have this conversation. Riley Gaines, case in point. And then the situation in the Olympics, if you just watch those, there were 2 transgenders that beat women, and the Olympics was fine with it. And those women's dreams were dashed, just dashed. Okay, so enough about that. Number 18, deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. I would love to see this. My stepson goes to University of Cincinnati. We go there to tour the campus, and I see on every light pole a flyer. It's like a sticker flyer for Socialist Democrats of America on every light pole. Those organizations are Marxist, they're socialists, they're communist, and they have infiltrated the college campuses extremely. That's college, but we have that happening in the lower elementary schools and secondary schools as well, and even in preschools. It just takes one activist teacher that has your kid hostage for an entire school year, whether it be an hour a day or all day, to change your child's way of thinking. So I would love to see this happen. I don't understand these protesters supporting Hamas, because let's call it what it is. They're supporting Hamas. They're saying they feel bad for the people in Gaza who are hurt and don't have food and this and that. Well, it's Hamas that's doing that to their own people too, using them as shields, taking the food. That they're known for that. They take the goods and don't pass them on to the people. And so just even by nature, you can say you feel bad for the people in Gaza, but you're still supporting Hamas, a terrorist organization. How dare you? How dare you be on an American college campus? Guess what? Go over there. If you're so passionate about it and you really want to help, go over there. Do it. All right. Secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. I think these are imperatives. I don't think there's any discussion we can have on this that's going to change anybody's mind. To me, this has to happen, and it has to happen in every state. We have too many questions about our elections. Number 20, unite our country by bringing it to a new and record levels of success. And I think that is absolutely something we can all agree on. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. Yes, we want to have success in our country again. Okay, so I want to mention that the Trump campaign website also links to the Republican Party platform. And I want to encourage you to go there and actually go to the platform and read through it. I might do an episode where we talk about the full platforms, not just the candidates' plans, but the full platforms between the Republican and Democrat Party. The reason I think that's important to do is because I don't hear anybody doing it, first of all. And second of all, it takes the emotion out of it. It takes the impressions out of it of the candidates. Candidates aside, these are the things the parties stand for. It's no longer emotional. It's factual. And its source. This is what they stand for. I don't care what your candidate says. This is what the party stands for. And if they're going to represent the party, they have to abide by it. So I really want to dig into that a little bit. I'm going to go look at Kamala Harris's campaign page now, and let's see if we can find what her plans are. Oh, nope, not on that page. That's a donation page, I think, right out of the gate, right? Nice picture.
Plenty of places to donate.
I know.
1, 2,
I think if you sit on here long enough too,
by mail.
Another pop-up window will come up with the donation.
Oh yeah, it does immediately. So if I were to
Yeah. That you get that when you first go in. Then you get this next page. Yeah, with their nice little picture, her and Walls.
Oh look, and you can buy their garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, so what's page 2? Can we go to the second thing? When I say page 2, it's the second thing at the top. So I can't read what it says.
We got Meet Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that one, the second one. Yeah. Okay, so this is the second page that we come up on. And I was going through that page, and all I could see really was about her history. I know it starts off by saying, as the daughter of parents who brought her to civil rights marches in a stroller, she was inspired to tackle injustice from an early age. Just letting you know, that's a flat out lie, because there is a woman that came out after she heard her say that, because I believe she said it in a speech too.
Yep.
After she heard her say that and said, that's my story. That happened with me, not her. So she's already been debunked by somebody who was actually there at the civil rights marches and basically blew the lid off that. But if you read through this, these are all stories. Every paragraph talks about the past. It talks about what she's supposedly done, either as part of the Biden campaign or whatever. So it's all about the past. So I don't see any plans there. Do you, Josh?
No, not a one.
Okay, let's go to the third thing on the
You
page.
can see how Indian she is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Is she black or Indian or both? Like, what is it today? Have you heard her speak today?
Whatever works for her at that time.
You know, what's she claiming today? I haven't heard anything.
Got her Tim Malls. We can meet
Yeah,
that
so
guy.
let's go to that one and see if she has any plans on there. Oh, no, not really. That looks like it's all about her VP pick. And just so you know, I'll need a whole nother show to talk about him. Can't get to that today. Some good old Midwestern pictures, though, right? Because that's who they're trying to appeal to, although he's an extremist. So let's look at the next one. Is there anything on that one? Oh,
It's
no.
Another place to donate, it looks like.
Another place to donate. Okay. Or volunteer, right?
Yeah, so you can help them get donations.
Yeah. And it says take action, right?
Yeah.
So my question is, do you just go sign up to volunteer to do what exactly? Because she doesn't have any plans yet. So what will you be doing? Just calling people saying, vote for Kamala? I don't know. Just a question. Okay, what's the next one? Events?
Yeah, events.
Yeah, let's look at that. Any plans? Oh, no. And you know what I noticed on here, though?
They're online events.
They're all phone calls. Or at least most of them are phone calls. I saw a lot of phone calls on there. It was weird.
Not seeing any in-person stuff here.
But there is an option for map at the top, and I didn't look at the map. I don't know if there's, Oh, so are those phone calls to those places, or or is she physically going there?
I don't know.
You know where she didn't go that Trump went? Do you remember the African American journalist event
Yeah.
that he went to? She didn't go. I thought that was kind of weird because she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, National Association of Black Journalists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, page 6. Let's look at that. That's just the store, though.
Just the
I don't.
store. Yeah, just
I don't think there's going to be any
anything that you want.
plans there. No, I don't see any plans.
Just garbage.
Just merch, because they need your money. So I didn't see any plans anywhere on her website when I was looking at her campaign website, and I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Trump has his plans out, and the Republican convention was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So just give the benefit of the doubt, she hasn't had her convention yet. It's next week. The Democrat convention is next week. So maybe she's just waiting until the convention to put her plans out. But then I started thinking about that, and I thought, well, but she's the vice president now. Like, she's the vice president till January, and I would argue the acting president. So she could have plans, right? Am I missing something there? She could totally have plans that she's out talking about and campaigning on, besides no taxes on tips that she borrowed from Trump.
Plagiarized.
Yeah.
Just like
Stole.
her predecessor. Just like her predecessor.
Right. Because he almost said, what were you telling me earlier?
Yeah, during his presidential address to the people just after the assassination attempt, he almost said, "Make America Great Again."
Mm-hmm.
He stopped himself.
Got himself.
I think there was enough people in the room going, "No."
Don't do it. Right. So maybe we'll have to just, quote, circle back after the convention next week. I just had to do that. Sorry. I know that was just not good.
We'll have to defer them to it. Right?
That was a wah, wah, wah moment. I just couldn't help myself. Yeah. And now we'll have to defer them. Yeah, definitely. Because, we can't answer it right now. But in the coming episodes, again, I want to spend time on the platforms, and I may do a show on Kamala's plans if there are any that come out. If you don't hear about a show about it, she hasn't released any. We're just going to ride the coattails of Biden. So I don't know. The one thing I'm going to leave you with is remember, especially in this state, because I think this is one of the most dangerous things they're trying to do, where they're attacking the Supreme Court. They're trying to get term limits on them. They're trying to, I think they would abolish the Supreme Court if they could, because they don't like their decisions. This is another thing I've observed. I'm generally speaking on a macro level. There's exceptions, clarifier. But it seems to me that the left is full of toddlers who throw a temper tantrum when they don't get their way. They to me, going to Brett Kavanaugh's house and protesting and intimidating him so that he would vote the way they wanted him to, that's a toddler action. Coming up with a way to restrict the Supreme Court because you don't like the decisions they've made, that's a toddler action. That's a temper tantrum. There's so many things that I could bring up like that, and maybe I am biased. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing through a different filter than I should be. But I really do try to listen to both sides and hear what they have to say and discern between it. And I'm just telling you, I have tried that for several years, and this is the conclusion I've come to. I don't know any other way around it. But I want to leave you with this: absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's a famous quote. Can't tell you who it was from. I've just heard it my whole life, and I love it because that's exactly what they're trying to do now. We talked about that before with the student loan forgiveness programs. Biden put 2 in place, and it had to work its way up to the Supreme Court, and they said it's unconstitutional. You don't have the power of the purse. Congress does. You have to get Congress's approval for anything financial. Did he stop? No. He came up with 2 or 3 more plans to do loan forgiveness after the Supreme Court ruled it was unconstitutional. They want their way. And another thing I've noticed is the people of the end justifies the means. They don't care how they get there. They're going to get their way. I've seen it in personal life. I've seen it in the political arena. They don't care how they get there. They just want their way in the end. They don't care who they step on, who they hurt. It's another thing of, I'll ask forgiveness rather than permission. I hear that a lot in today's society, and it hurts me from a Christian perspective, because that is a statement saying, I'm going to do what I think is right, what I want to do, regardless of what my authority says. That's exactly what it translates to in my head. There have been times, I'm not going to lie, where there was something going on and I had to pull that card. I had to play that card. But it's rare, and I'm not judging people because I've done it myself, like I said, in very low risk situations. But generally speaking, that just goes right through me because it's a denial of an authority figure. So absolute power corrupts absolutely. Don't forget that. If they succeed at restricting the Supreme Court, their mission isn't to stop there, just so you know. It's to have a dictator, which they keep accusing Trump of wanting to be, which he has never said. And on top of that, we have 4 years with him already to prove that he wasn't going to do that. Think for yourselves. All right. In closing, I just want to remind you guys to go to revolverbroadcasting.com, to follow, to like, to comment, as Alan says. Hi, Alan. And make sure you're pushing these kind of videos out to people that need to know this information. It's not about me, it's about the information. So I hope that you're getting something out of it. Please reach out, put comments on. We do check those, and share, because again, we are how many people from 1,000 subscribers, Josh?
Less than 200.
Less than 200 people away from 1,000 subscribers, and we're really trying to push for that in the next month. So please, please, please share. Make sure that you're subscribed. And with that, I'm going to say good day, good night, and have a great week.